Good afternoon. This is Sherman Crancer with Senior Partner Channel Development Manager for Microsoft. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a great show for you on the panel, and these are strategies from the leaders of sales and industry. So for today, we have an agenda, a jam-packed agenda here. It's not our typical type of show, but I think you're going to find that a lot of the things that we are covering today are really going to be fantastic ways of really integrating yourself into networking type of situations, conferences, and whatnot. So we'll start off with thought leadership, and then we have three acts today. One is talking about conference giveaways. Do you provide those to people or not? Number two, we're going to talk about, the opinion of it's hard to meet people at conferences and networking events, and we're going to talk some tricks and kind of some ideas. Next, we're going to have the opinion of, if you're not transforming, well, don't plan on being in business. Lastly, we'll have a call to action, and then we'll follow that up with a summary. All right, so let's get into some quick introductions here. We've got a great panel for us today. My name, as you know, is Sherman Crancer. You can always just send me an email if you have any questions, as well as please follow me on Twitter at Sherman Crancer. Also, please send me a LinkedIn invitation. I am a LinkedIn Open Networker. Justin, would you please introduce yourself and your role within Microsoft?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm Justin Slagle, the Senior Partner Channel Development Manager for the Southwest U.S., so working with all of our small business partners. Glad to see you all.
Kayla?
Hi, my name is Kayla. I'm the CEO of Magic and Heels. First and foremost, I'm a magician, but I'm also a small business owner, so I'm excited to talk to you about my experience today. Thanks for having me.
Eric?
Hi, everyone. This is Eric Klauss, Principal and owner of Partner Source Solutions. We help small and medium-sized companies grow their sales teams through better business process.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. We picked this particular panel because they have a lot of similarities. So it's really Justin and I will kind of give you the viewpoint from Microsoft, right? But the beauty of having Kayla here is she's in a completely different industry, and we're going to get a chance to really kind of talk to her about how she approaches things a little bit differently. And lastly, if you don't know Eric, you should know Eric. Eric is an absolute leader in the industry. He's been part of MCC for many years and runs a great company, and good friend of mine, good friend of the whole really group here. So please reach out to any one of these panelists after the call, and they'd be happy to talk to you about what they do. All right, so let's go into some quick updates. I'm actually going to, the first update, I'm actually going to pass it to Eric Klauss because he happens to be the president of IAMCP in Southern California. Eric, can you help us understand about Inspire and what you're telling the partners about?
Fantastic. So thank you, Sherman. Yeah, absolutely. So Inspire, for many of you probably are aware, but for those of you who aren't, Inspire was what was formerly known as the World Partner Conference for many years. But it is Microsoft's annual conference specifically for partners. There'll be about 20,000 folks gathering this year in Washington, D.C. It's a tremendous event. We've got some fantastic stories that have come out of those in years past. I know one of our IAMCP partners closed a $600,000 deal out of attending WPC in Toronto last year. So tremendous opportunity to network with other partners, find opportunities to work together, and close business. So we certainly recommend it for all of the Microsoft partners that are out there. This year, as I said, it is in Washington, D.C. The latest information on that is going to be coming out here soon, but we do know that as with many Microsoft conferences, the later it gets, the prices go up. And so we know that pricing will be changing coming up soon. So this is the time to get on board if you're going. We are just over 60 days out.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Eric. Really appreciate that. Secondly, if you don't know Kayla, she happens to be a proud member of the Magic Castle, which is a very exclusive club and a professional magician who actually attended and presented at our partner briefings in Southern California. So part of the giveaway today is really she's going to spend 1 hour with one lucky winner today on helping them understand a few great tricks tips, things that they can use for icebreakers. And what we want you to do is go to aka.ms/PLG-reg. You want to register to see for the giveaway at the end of the show. So please, lastly, we have the open Q&A on this. So please, this is the time. This is the time if you have questions about what we're talking about to go ahead and just start putting in the questions. And there will be, we're elated to bring those up and ask the panelists these things. All right, so let's get into the thought leadership. So, the thing I want to talk about today is really, how are you different, in regards to digital transformation? And, that is a hot topic today, a big deal that is actually, being marketed quite a bit, digital transformation. I think the idea really stems from going from brick and mortar to the type of company that is really taking advantage of all of the digital, new digital platforms, including social medias and utilizing technology to transform their business. It's no longer the, hey, let's have a big, huge office. We're going to attract people by our signage. It's completely changed. So, with that, what I wanted to kind of do is bring up a kind of a transformational, example, really. So Eric was actually a really, great friend of mine many years ago before I even joined Microsoft, and Manish Bardia, Eric Klauss, and we all did, had the idea of video, right? So we actually conducted, video webinars at that time for the Small Business Administration. And what's so interesting is, we really tried hard at being successful, but we failed epically. We had, our Surface Pros, which we used, okay, so that's good, but, we were using the webcam, and then we're in areas where we had bad lighting, we had bad video, bad audio. I mean, it was terrible. However, we had great intentions and we worked really hard at it, and we were able to keep the attention of many of the influencers we were working with. But I knew we had the right idea, right? We had the idea behind, okay, what do we do that's going to be different, that's going to separate us from the crowd? And it really was, putting together high-end webinars. So over the past 2.5 years, we have morphed, and it went from, doing it in a back room, trying to figure it out, to coming over to my house. I think Manish came over, and we were both in the same office together, but then we had feedback issues. Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. But then we moved to, coming to the NTC, and before we actually, contracted with the Microsoft Technology Center, I was bringing in cameras and lights, and we were going and using, the conference rooms, right? Just to try to bring something different. And there's a lot of hard work in it. But then we come all the way full circle, and here we are today. And the reason why we're talking about this is you can see the quality that we have here, right? With the, the TriCaster. Right? This is what allows us to be able to do things. Now, I don't imagine many partners will be able to afford the TriCasters. It could be anywhere between $60,000, I think, just to start with the equipment, up to $500,000. But you can do a lot of other things, right? You can actually just get a Magewell device and transform your office into a way to put out, great content. But that's part of really what digital transformation is. It's not like, okay, I have to completely shut down my whole big business, go all to the cloud. No, it's about thinking about things and innovating and using, technology to help you push out your message. And we talk about this all the time, with MCC. The next topic really kind of coincides with this is I challenge you to look around at your business and ask yourself, are you just the same as every other IT professional out there? If you can pick up a rock and throw it less than 100 yards and hit 10 people that do the same thing that you do, well, you're just part of the static. And we talk a lot about vertical marketing, vertical, transformation. Do you really want to put yourself in a situation where you're an MSP business that is everything to everyone all the time? I would say, in my opinion, no, you don't want to do that because you're part of the static. So let's, instead of doing that and the shotgun approach to bringing in business, whether it's a small 5-seat, doctor's office to the 50-seat manufacturer to the sub-cam type of group that has 300 users at any one location. Instead of doing the shotgun approach, well, transform your business. Start taking charge of what you're doing and start implementing strategies that's going to help you transform your business and increase sales, reduce the friction of growing, as well as separate yourself from all of those different IT people that are out there. Next item of digital transformation, and this is actually one of the most frustrating things for me because it is one of the most innovative ideas out there, and it allows for 24 hours of free advertising. So 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and that's Office Mix. I've said over and over again to so many partners out there, hey, one of your key tools that you need to have in your toolbox is really 12 30-minute recorded webinars on Office Mix. And why do you want to have that? I'll tell you why. Because now after you've uploaded them and they're all up there, you have your video, you have your audio, totally different, stands you out from the crowd. But now you also have a list of 12 embed codes. You take those codes and you go to influencers and you say, hey, we have on-demand education. Here you go. And they take that and they put it on their website, right? Well, you don't actually have to do those anymore. Now it's just cycles on demand. And things have changed. It's no longer 70% of the people of attendees want to be live and 30% want to be on demand. It's now completely different. It's 30% want to be live and 70% want on demand. So it's one of the most frustrating things because it's an amazing technology. And if you're not using it, you're really causing a disservice to yourself and to your business. How-to videos, all these different items that you can utilize in Office Mix, which basically allows you to record voice and audio over a PowerPoint and put in links in there that people can actually click on. If you see my intro video to the PLG call, that's an Office Mix, which allows you to click on the link at the end to be able to download the calendar invite or how to get to our products and services. So Office Mix, digital transformation. If you're not utilizing it now, go to officemix.com, download the plugin. It's just a plugin in the PowerPoints. It's very simple, and start recording. If you don't record, if you keep thinking about it, right? We talk about this, leaders do what they talk about, and dreamers talk about what they're going to do. Stop being a dreamer. Start being a leader. Take control of your business and transform it. Lastly, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and that's really about potential. Potential is just that. It's just potential. I saw a lot of people when, growing up and playing, sport that I ended up playing professionally, and I saw a lot of people that had incredible potential. They were much better than I was, but it was just potential because they didn't work hard. And what happened to them? Well, I don't know. Who came in second place? I forget. I don't know. Who came in first? Well, there's a lot of people that came in first that you remember, right? So potential is just that. You have to work harder to get things done. Lastly, we always do this, just do it. All right, let's get into the actual meat of this. So we are actually really lucky because what we're going to do here is instead of going just into the three opinions, Kayla is going to talk about, or actually show us a trick that you could possibly use when talking to potential clients or icebreakers, and we're going to pass it off to her. She's not only going to show it to us, I think she's going to show us how to do it. So Kayla, welcome to the show, and would you get started with it?
Absolutely. So this is uses a deck of cards, which you can pick up at any CVS or dollar store. And actually, would you mind helping me out with this?
I will.
Yay, fantastic. So this is a really great way to sort of meet somebody, get to know them a little bit, but also there's this idea in magic where if you're performing for someone, you can either perform for them like there was a wall in between you, so it's more something visual, which is the other things I'm going to show you later, which is still really fun if you're doing more of a presentation. But this is something that really allows you to interact with a person and kind of get into their space, breaking that wall in between you. So go ahead and choose a card for me. And please, if you show the camera, show everybody else around. I won't look, I promise. All set. Whenever you're done, just put it face down for me right there. Lovely. And very fairly, we're going to bury your card into the rest of the pack. So I don't have a bookmark. My finger's not in there. I don't know what or where your card is. I'm going to grab a couple of cards. As I'm doing this, I'm basically, you've put your sort of, by touching the card, you've put your personality, a bit of you into your specific card. Go with me on this.
All right.
It sounds real dumb because it's paper, but hey, it's a magic trick. So I'm going to grab a couple of cards and see, as I'm doing this, give me an idea. What is your favorite food?
Pizza.
Pizza. Cool. All right. I feel good about potentially that. Where did you originally grow up?
Right here in Orange County.
Orange County. Interesting. Okay. I'll go with this. And what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
Swim.
Okay, great. Swim. Like lap swim or in the ocean?
Lap swim.
Okay. Yeah, I feel good about this. So I'm going to show you the 3 cards that I've picked out. And I feel like there's a good chance that one of them is yours. So the first card I've grabbed is the 8 of Diamonds. The reason I grabbed this is because you like to swim. So that's sort of an infinite type of exercise, right? So this is a really intense exercise, and I went with the 8 because I feel like maybe there's something to do with that. The next card I grabbed was the Jack of Spades. You said that you were originally from Orange County. That means that you're a very hardworking person. You swim, you work hard, you're very dedicated to the things that you like. What was the card that you chose?
I don't remember. I actually didn't look at it myself when I showed it to you guys. It was the 8 of spades, wasn't it?
I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I showed it to everybody, and I realized I didn't look at it.
Great. That was my fault. I didn't give you that instruction. It's like a normal thing that people do, but it's totally fine. So you said the 8 of Spades. Well, oddly enough, I chose the 8 of Diamonds as the first card and the Jack of Spades, which then would result in your card, the 8 of Spades.
Nice.
That's
Thanks.
amazing.
I will share, I don't know if you remember Brent from the Irvine Partner Briefing,
yeah.
but he commented and he said, oh my God, I think it's going to be the 6 of Clubs.
Oh, not this time, Brent, but thank you. Thank you for that callback. Cool. Are we ready to dive in real quick on how to do this? Fantastic. So all you need is a deck of cards. It can be any deck of cards. It doesn't need to be a special quality. So would you just choose a card again for me? Now, your volunteer can pick absolutely any card they like. And this time, let's look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, you look at it.
You look at it. You got it. And yeah, you can show it. Okay, so it's the 2 of Hearts. So here's what's happening. As your spectator and everybody else is looking at the card, what I'm going to do is take a special. You've got to be kidding me. I did not do that on purpose.
Brent's
oh my God.
right now.
Hey, Brent. That's beyond perfection.
That is awesome.
Nice.
Yay. Great. So you're going to, while everybody's looking at that card, I'm going to take a peek at the bottom card. So it's a 6 of Clubs, and we'll remember that. This is the only thing you need to remember. So I'm going to have the person put the card on top, and then very fairly the card gets cut into the pack. Now, for the purpose of this, I'm going to actually turn their card the wrong ways around just so you can see what's happening. So I'll have you put the card back on top, and then your card gets cut into the pack. What that's done is I've looked at that bottom card, and what it's done is I've taken your card and placed it next to the bottom card. We call this in Magic a key card. So as I start to go through, you'll see there's my key card, the 6 of Clubs, and the card to the right of it will be your chosen selection. So then I can see what your card is. So in real time, it looks like that. So it's to the right. I'm not sure exactly how it looks on the camera, but we find that 6 of Clubs, and it's to the right.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right?
Perfect. Yeah.
So I just add into the presentation. You don't have to. You can just say, I think I know your card, and here it is, the 2 of Hearts. I just add into the presentation the little funness of I find their card, which is the 2 of Hearts, and I just split up the value in the suit. So I put their card down first, and then I grab another heart. It does not matter which, and then another 2. Oops, there goes a card. And then I just do the presentation. And how I kind of do it, I ask them any questions you like. I just ask them personal questions, but you can ask more business related, like what's important to you in your business partnership? What do you specifically do for the company you work at? Sometimes it can just be fun, like what's your favorite ice cream flavor? And then you can go through, I just made this up. The 8 has nothing to do with swimming. It's just in presentation. And then you go to the 2, and then their final card, the 2 of Hearts. So again, it's just that bottom card you remember, and it's the card to the right. And that's a fun little magic trick you can use as an icebreaker.
Nice.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
This brings a whole new idea of the way we run this show. If you could do me a favor, if you could make Eric disappear. And I'm out. Will, bring in. We do have a guest, Derek Gabriel, who flew in from Hawaii. We don't know if he's going to fit him in, but we'll have to look at that. All right, let's get into the opinion part of it. Opinion. Okay, I don't believe in giveaways at trade shows and expos. I would say absolutely 100%. I don't believe in it, as well as I have a hard and fast rule for every single expo I go to. I come home with one item. That's it. I will not go there. You see everyone's got the bags and they're filling them up and they want second bags and third bags. All this stuff is just a waste, but every once in a while you get one good thing. So I will walk around with that one thing, and if I find something new, I put it back on that table with the new one, and I grab the new one and I walk along. But hey, let's get this to the group here. What are your thoughts on this? Giveaways, tchotchkes, all that kind of thing. Justin, you want to take the first one?
Yeah, sure. So I agree and disagree. So I think for a large company like Microsoft, it might make sense as a branding play. So I've been to some Microsoft events where we give out bags, and I remember doing specifically an event in Vegas, and we gave out like 500 bags, which is great, and those are high quality bags that you guys get at the retail stores. And I remember driving through Vegas that night, and I kept seeing our bags pop up all over the place. It was fantastic, because Microsoft is more about a branding play and not necessarily about, hey, we need somebody to take action. But if it's a smaller company like most of our partners, I would say that absolutely. I mean, I think that tchotchkes, giveaways, those types of things it's not necessarily what you want to do at the event. What you're trying to do is engage with potential prospects. You're trying to do other things, get them to remember your company in a different way. And then it's all, to me, at every event, it's all about the follow-up. So how can I get their information? How can I get them to pique their interest a little bit so that I can follow up with them later and really try to get them to buy our services?
Eric, what are your thoughts on it?
I agree with Justin here. I think for most partners, those kinds of things are just a waste from that standpoint. I think what you want out of an event is engagement with people. There are two things. You want that initial engagement with them, and then the other big thing, and this is, I think, the part where most of the partners, and look, I've been guilty of it in the past, it's the follow-up piece. We collect the cards, and then we don't do the follow-up. And so nothing happens, and we say, well, that was a waste of time. Well, where did the waste of time really happen? I think it really takes place on our end because we didn't do the follow-up that we needed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Kayla, what are your thoughts on this?
I completely agree. I think if you give away the right giveaway, then that's the best thing to do. But I think there are better methods of attracting people to your booths and getting them to remember you now, especially every booth is giving away something, right? That's the big thing. They're going to give away something, or they're going to have a television screen, or if you step out of that norm, that's when you're going to get people to remember you. As from my perspective, as a magician, there are hundreds upon thousands of magicians in just the Los Angeles and Southern California area, and I have to make myself different. And so how you do that is you brand yourself uniquely. You, if you want to give away things, you give away different things. But I think the more different you can make your booth, the more memorable you're going to be.
That's real interesting. I like that different take on that. So it kind of brings up our next little opinion type of thing, and I think there's a lot of could be incendiary type of thoughts behind this. People in costumes, right? Using people in costumes or different types of people to attract people, attendees, grab their attention is the best method of grabbing attention. And I would say that it's just a gimmick, and you might see it. And I think there's a lot of different opinions on this one, but I want to throw it out to the panel here. Kayla, why don't we ask you that question?
Again, the more different you can make your booth, the better. Here's my opinion specifically on people in costumes. When I've seen people in costumes at a booth or walking around a trade show floor, most of the time they're just handing out that tchotchke or that product, and you can't ask them an actual question about the business or anything about the company that they're working for. So if you're going to have somebody that's dressed up and presenting your company as somebody that's a part of that booth and that product, you want to make sure that they can also articulate everything that you want. And I think that that's important. If somebody asks a man in a dragon costume walking through a trade show booth, hey, tell me about the company you're working for, and they can't, well, now you've lost potential customers and potential people going to the booth to ask more questions. So if you're going to have somebody who is going to dress up in a costume, I would highly recommend educating them on your company and a product, just basic information so that they can say, here's the basics. Why don't you head over to our booth to find out more?
Yeah, but I mean, do you really, I mean, the other thing too is do you really want to have, somebody who's attracting for another reason as the symbol of your company? I don't know if you want to have a dragon as a symbol of your, you said that as an example, right? But there's a lot of other things that are out there. I don't know if I want that as a symbol of my company. Justin, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I mean, if you have a what is it called, a mascot, and maybe having your mascot roaming around, but typically if you're going to have a mascot, it's going to be a paid person who really knows your business, kind of like what you were saying. But the idea, I mean, if you're doing a trade show, then you should really put together, what are my goals for this trade show? How are we going to accomplish these goals? And then and hey, if a tchotchke is something that's going to help you accomplish your goals, then great. If it's going to help get people to your booth, then fantastic. But most of the time they just don't. So you've got to think of things in ways that you can weave your product message in, so that if people do come to your booth, if you're able to draw a crowd, that they can still hear part of your message. And so I think that's the most important thing. Like, is it going to help me accomplish my goal? If it will, then fantastic, do it. But if it's not, find something else.
Eric?
My perspective is, as I was sitting here thinking about it, I thought of a way to actually make that work in the context of, if you had somebody in a costume in your booth and it was a photo booth with your logo in the background, there might be some value to that.
Maybe
because
branding,
exactly. Right. At least some value to it from the context of, people are going to take those pictures. A lot of them are going to hit social media, and your logo is going to go out as part of that. So potentially that might be a way to make that work. But otherwise, I generally agree that, it's not going to be the thing that is going to, if somebody's just walking around that trade show, that's not going to be the thing that's going to do a lot of value for even your brand at that point in time, because it's not going anywhere. But if it was something that brought people into the booth for whatever reason, and like I said, if it was a photo booth type of concept, that might bring people in. They want to get their picture taken with whatever that thing is. Also, and I think we've seen this in other venues as well. If you bring in some type of a sports star or somebody like that, where people want to come in and get their picture taken with that person, same type of concept there.
Yeah. But I will share something that I was recently at the Channel Partner Conference in Las Vegas, and I was there with WTG, who's our big telco master agent that we partnered with, and I think they did something that was pretty brilliant. What they did was they rented out the House of Blues, and then they rented out a couple of guys to be the Blues Brothers, and so they had like the hit party of everybody wanted to go to this Blues Brothers, but they limited it to 50 people. And so they send something out to everybody, hey, you've got to come to our booth, you've got to come talk to us, and then if you're one of the first 50 people, we'll get your name on the list. Well, they got the first 50 people, but they also know that, hey, these people are getting invited to tons and tons of trade shows or tons of parties. And so they actually, as they got rid of their 50 tickets, then it became super special, because people came over and they said, hey, we want to come to your party. And they're like, well, we're sold out. Yeah. But I tell you what, we'll make a special exception for you. Just come find me. And now these people felt really special, and they got to have that engaging conversation. I really loved what they did with that. It was great.
Exclusivity. Yeah. Always works.
Yep.
Yeah.
The principle of wanting what you can't have.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's amazing. It goes back to the Stone Ages, right? I want food. You have it. I don't have it. I want it, right? What would be, and I'll throw this out, I know this is a little off script, but I think this is a good thing, because that was a great best practice. Do either, Eric or Kayla, do you have a best practice that you think is just totally different than anyone else is doing?
I think the key is the one that I touched on before. It's the follow-up. I think that's your magic bullet, because 80-90% of people simply don't follow up. You swap cards with people and then nothing happens. That extra level of effort, that engagement to take that next step with people, to follow up with them, to try and schedule some type of a follow-up call, a follow-up coffee meeting, whatever it is, something that's going to translate that relationship into potentially some form of business. Mm-hmm. So that's the piece that I think is the missing piece, the silver bullet, if you will.
Yeah.
Let me add something for Kayla here. I mean, so Kayla was at our partner briefing, and she did an amazing job of weaving in technology into her whole magic pitch. But Kayla, I know that you've actually started working with some Microsoft partners from that
Yes.
event. And aren't you doing some trade shows where you're doing kind of the same thing at their trade show booths?
Yes. So at one of the services I provide is the trade show booth presentation. And the idea of that is to get as many people into your booth or around your booth as possible. So a couple of different ways we do it is you kind of set up this big table in the corner of your booth. And as people are walking by, you gain as many possible people as you can to come listen to a presentation. And although at its core, the presentation is a magic show, the magic word is your company name or your product name. But before the magic actually happens, I'm talking about your business to make sure that that's the message that's getting across. And every person that it becomes a volunteer, if they're wearing a scannable badge, we boop their badge to make sure we get their information. And they also get normally what I recommend is they get a giveaway. It's usually a deck of cards or some sort of magical theme, a giveaway. And in order to get that, they have to go and they have to let us boop their badge. So I know technical term is boop. Yes, but I think that's a great way to do it too.
Yeah, it's all about weaving that message in.
Absolutely. If I can real quick, just to piggyback off of your idea of the follow-up, one of the things that I make sure I do is get to know the person not personally, but get to know something very interesting about them. So where they're from, if they have maybe a kid or a dog or something like that. And OneNote has sort of become my life. And what I do is I have OneNote per event, and then I open it up to say, okay, so I just met Charles, and he has a boxer named Billy, and we talked about how he had a dog, and I make those notes so that when I go to contact him later, I say, hey, it was really nice to meet you at this previous event. Thanks for chatting. Let's keep in touch. By the way, say hi to your dog, Billy, for me. And it's just that nice personal touch.
Nice.
So it's just part of that follow-up too.
Yep.
I'll tell you, I've been consulted on a lot of different conferences, and they're asking, well, Sherman, how do you make this conference good? How do we get the right people? And my advice is not necessarily go to the conference, set up your booth, and hope they all come to you, okay? That's good. But the way to really effectively make that time worth your while is 8 weeks to 12 weeks before the conference. Have you yourself or your staff set up meetings for you while you're at the conference, right? You can have your booth, you can have that, but you need to set up meetings with the people you want to talk to. That's where the business is going to happen, talking with them. An idea, instead of actually contracting with the conference, which typically says, oh, hey, we'll have a meeting room over here. It'll cost you $5,000, to have it for the day. Is to actually just rent a suite upstairs, a bigger one than the one you're normally going to stay at, and hold your meetings there. Right? Have your team come with you, but hold your meetings there, bring them up, and make them feel special. A lot of the ideas that are coming across the panel today are about, really helping the attendee feel special and wanting to talk to you and bring it back to you. So, all right. So I think we did touch on that. Having a magician in an expo booth really does it really draw more people? Hey, why don't you just answer that question real quick, and then we'll get on to Act 2.
Sure. The answer is yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Awesome. Any conflicting thoughts on that one, guys?
No, because I think it comes down to engagement. I mean, the beauty of magic is that it's engaging. So from that standpoint, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for people who are trying to engage with you. Anything that helps drive that behavior, I think, is going to help you. But magic is probably the single biggest thing that I can think of, because it's easy for people to get engaged with.
Yeah, it's also tangible, so they're able to touch things and hold things while also watching and learning. So it's kind of hitting as many senses as you possibly can, which means that it's going to be a more memorable experience for them.
Exactly.
And John Gibson mentioned on the Q&A that the FBI agent came to our partner briefing. That was a huge draw. I agree. So we didn't have somebody in a costume, but we certainly had a high-profile speaker who helped draw people in as we gave a message, and then also had good entertainment for them.
So that's a great point. That is a great point, and I think it's the right draw, right? It's not, the dragon. I love that reference to the dragon. I'm just thinking this big old, dragon walking around with a big old tail. But hey, Ron actually Hardy said something very interesting. And one of his comments was, I'm getting so many business cards at all these events that I don't have time to put them together. And then his follow-up statement was, I try to use Microsoft Forms, like you told us in Project Lead Gen. One of the best ways that I've utilized a technology for digital transformation, and actually I was taught this by the great Justin Slagle, was online Excel survey. Unbelievable, right? You can just, as long as you have a Skype account, OneDrive account. You just go online and you create an online Excel survey and you put it on the laptops that you have at the trade show, right? Or at the meeting. And you basically just have people do the work for you instead of, filling out the forms, right? They actually do the form. And when they do that, then they get entered into the draw. So that's the OneDrive Excel survey for that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the next magic trick, actually. Kayla?
Great. So this one, I like to do magic with things that you can kind of find around the house or find very easily at a store. You don't have to go to a magic shop to buy this. So this one's done with rubber bands.
By the way, I didn't.
The cup.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that these are regular rubber bands, so I really went to a magic shop to try to buy these rubber bands. And I got laughed at because they said there's no such thing as a magic rubber band. So thank you
You're
for
welcome.
embarrassing me.
Hey, anytime. Whatever I can do for you, I'm here for. I love that you did that. It's my favorite. Cool. What are we doing? So magic. This is something that you can really use for, let's say you want to give a presentation and you want to do something that's a little bit customized. So I'll show you sort of the basic idea first, teach you how to do it, and then speak to you how it can be customized. So the basic idea, I'm just going to remove my ring here, is a rubber band from Staples, and it goes around my first 2 fingers. Okay? If I close my fist, I can't remove the rubber band or anything, but with a snap, the rubber band actually can jump to my other 2 fingers. And then it goes back too. Okay, a lot of people think that I'm probably removing the rubber band very quickly, like somehow I distract you or we do a camera cut where then I can be like, oh, great, and we'll take it off. But that's cheating. So I'm going to make it even more difficult by interlocking the tips of my fingers with another rubber band. So there's no way it can come off. But again, with a snap, it jumps. It jumps back. So I feel like I break you a lot. I'm so sorry. So here's sort of how it's done. If you guys are welcome to play along. I brought rubber bands for everyone.
I think I got this.
Fun. Cool. Great. Here, would you pass these? Fantastic. So here's the first idea. And this I learned on like the Disney Channel a long time ago. So it's you might know sort of the first steps. The idea is rubber band's going to jump from your first 2 fingers to your second. Here's how it's done. So I'm going to close my fist, but as I close my fist, I'm going to, with my hand that doesn't have a rubber band on it, I'm actually going to pull the rubber band towards me, creating sort of this this big triangle space. So my hand is here, and I'm pulling the rubber band towards me. So the audience is not seeing this part. As I do that, I'm going to put as I make a fist, all of my fingers go inside of the rubber band, and I lay the rubber band across all of my fingernails. I see that some of you got it already. When I open my hand, I'm just pushing that rubber band up with my fingernails. So all 4 of my fingers push up on the rubber band, and that's when it jumps to the other side. So what's in theory happening is the rubber band is sort of hinging here, and it's just coming like this over top of your fingers. And to go back, it's the exact same thing. So you just pull the rubber band towards you, all of your fingers go inside, this rests against your fingernails, and you open your hand. And how it looks from here, the audience perspective, is that you're just closing your fist, and it opens. You can make sure you keep the back of your hand towards you. Now to do the interlocking, nothing's changing about this. So what you do is you put it on your first finger, twist, middle finger, twist, ring finger, twist, pinky twist. So you just sort of create this twisting rubber band around all of your fingers. You want to go on like the tips of your fingers? Yeah, perfect, good. Do one finger at a time. Yeah, lovely, lovely, great. Everybody's so fast here. And then it's the exact same thing. You're just pulling this towards you and then pushing up. It's the same thing, it's just hinging over top. So how you can kind of do this as a customized thing. Now, many examples are possible. Feel free to email me if you're like, hey, I really like that rubber band trick, but I'd like to customize it to my company or product and accomplish my personal goals. But this is just one I thought of, which is the idea of security and technology. So if you have, you have your computer and your system, and if you have somebody who tries to break into your system, they can very easily move around. You get what's happening, and you think that you have a good amount of security, maybe just with your super creative password, but nowadays, right, it's not always the best technology, and people can still easily move around, and that's when you can get into fingerprint opening, and the Surface Book takes your picture in order to get in, and all of that. So you can talk about security in that way. So you can customize it to sort of whatever you like, and that's trick number 2.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I think I didn't make the trick right. I was just kind of like, I got it.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Good job.
Oh, hey, check that out. All right. Let's.
Kayla's available for hire for sure.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk later.
I need her. All right. So let's get to the next opinion. It is very hard to Act 2. It is very hard to meet people at networking events. There are a lot of people that probably feel this way. They think, well, gosh, I gotta go meet people. Well, yeah, you're at a networking event. That's the idea. So let's go ahead and what is your opinion? We've got 3 excellent people here, so they may have a different opinion, but I'll even open it up to the group. Please put in the Q&A and tell us what your thoughts are on it. But I'll open up, Kayla, what are your thoughts initially when you go to conferences and networking events?
Yeah, I'm just a generally introverted person, so I really don't talking to people is pretty hard for me. Usually I get to have some sort of object that allows me to sort of break the ice easy, which if you're like me and that type of mentality, sometimes doing something like a magic trick or having something to break that ice is so helpful, especially when you can use it to learn something about a person. But the main thing, as I kind of touched upon before, is I ask a lot of questions about people. And if they have a dog, I can talk for hours about dogs and pets, or if they, like the beach, I'll tell you. So I just sort of find some sort of common ground and then talk to them about that, make a little note about that person, hopefully get their contact information, make a little note about it. And then later I can remember them because we had some sort of common ground. But I usually ask a lot of questions so I get to know them, can talk to them, and usually don't talk about myself as much. I want to know as much about them as I possibly can.
Yeah, so I think it might surprise a lot of people that I'm the same. I'm very introverted.
Yeah.
I actually have a lot of difficulties in networking situations, but I get through it, and so I get through it for a couple of different ways. And one thing that I'm not good at, like you said, you could talk for an hour about a dog. I could ask maybe one more question about a dog. Now, Eric, I know you're different. Like you're a big dog lover, so you could do that. But I'm just not wired that way, and I admire people who are. So for me, it's going back to I've got it. So if I'm going to a networking event, I want to know what are my goals, what am I trying to achieve here. I do genuinely want to have an interest in the people who are there, and I think that's definitely what helps me. And a lot of times it's as long as I'm in a business setting and I can talk about my work, I'm really comfortable in talking about my work. But this is also why it was so good for me. I met my wife on Match.com for a good reason. I'm not very good. I'm not extroverted in a point where I can go to a club or a bar or something and really talk to people about personal things. Business conversations are easier for me to have. And so what's great is some of the things you're showing are great little icebreakers, and then you can get into, or if you weave business into it, that certainly would help me a lot.
Well, I think we're 3 for 3 because I'm certainly also an introvert from that standpoint. But one of the things that I've learned, and I think, Justin, you're in the same boat, and I think you're getting there as well, is that networking is a skill. Mm-hmm. It's a skill that you can learn. One of the things that I've learned is that, first off, most people go to networking events with the wrong intention. They go with the intention of telling everybody about themselves. And that should be your peripheral, your secondary piece to that. The first thing you're looking for is to make connections with people and understand about them, because that's what's going to drive your ability to do business with them, is understanding their business. And so the key there is to talk to them. Let them tell you what they do. And so that's one of the things that I've learned, and one of the things that I do is I get people talking about themselves, which most people like talking about themselves. Yeah. So from that standpoint, it makes that conversation go much more smoothly for me, because they'll start telling me about themselves. And then, as you were pointing out, then I can dovetail in and pick out the pieces that I want to talk about around that, whatever that is, whether it's business related or it's personal related.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that, because I think some of the more successful networking events that I've been to, I actually didn't go with any intentions for myself, right, but really just wanted to go and say, okay, Eric, what is it that you do and how can I help you? And just go with that mentality. And it's amazing when you start helping a lot of people, it's amazing how many people want to help you back.
That's exactly it. And I'll give the credit for this. This comes from my work in IAMCP. With the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, it is all about partnering. And so my first effort in that is to find out about the people that come to the meetings, that come to the events, because I'm not just looking at it for what can it do for me. I'm looking at it in the perspective of how can I help them with their business, because we also live in a give to get world. If I give something to you in the way of a lead, an opportunity, a reference for something, you want to give something back to me. So at some point in time, you'll remember that I helped you out with whatever that was, whether it was an opportunity, even if it was an opportunity that went nowhere, you still remember that I tried to help you with your business.
Yep. Hey, Sherman, let me touch on, someone commented about business cards in the Q&A.
Yeah.
So there's a technology called Office Lens.
Mm-hmm.
So Office Lens, I talk to a lot of people at events and say,
Love
hey,
it.
use Office Lens for the slides. But what I love about Office Lens, you can use it for business cards as well. So when you scan a business card, what it does is it actually reads all the information and puts it into an Outlook template. So you can just hit save and it saves right into your Outlook contacts, or if you have CRM, you can import it into your CRM system. But that's a great way to handle, Ron, what you were saying about your business card backlog.
You know, I was just thinking because of this panel, I was like, gosh, another icebreaker is to come up to a bunch of people and say, hey, you want to see a magic trick? And then you just totally completely fail. And then you're like, yeah, well, I'm not really good at magician.
I'd like to recommend not doing that.
All right.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Email me for help.
All right. Hey, you know, we have got a good question in here came in. And this is actually something I want to touch on here because it says, you know, we've had joint marketing events with Microsoft in the past, generated a lot of leads, but this usually leads to poor sales. Why is this? Before I hand it to the panel to give us their thoughts, first thing I want to have you understand is what is the percentage of the attendees that are at your event that are ready to buy today? You have to understand that first before you can forecast your sales. And it's 3%. 3% of the attendees have an issue right now they have to fix. It is utter disaster. They've got to do something. 3%. You have 100 people there, 3 people, right? From 4 to 20 are people that may need to buy, but they don't trust you well enough. And then from 20 to 100, and this is the factor you have to really remember, 20 to 100 of those 100 people are in a contract. They're very happy. They're okay. They're not really interested, not in the market. But that's because you only did a single use event one time, right? Well, what happens let's say you did that in January, what happens in February? What happens in March, in June, and in May? So if you're doing one-time events, the people in June aren't going to remember who you were because if you did it in January. So the main thing is that you want to make sure that you're doing multiple events per year. Keep in front of the people, or take those leads and make sure that they're in a very, very concentrated drip marketing system so that when they do have that problem, they can reach out to you and get it done. So I just hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity on that. But for sake of time, let's go into, what are the different things that you do that separate yourself from the static? Panelists?
Was that about trade shows again?
That's icebreakers.
Icebreakers.
Yeah, trade shows, market, networking events. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not about gimmicks. It's not about doing anything different. I think it's just about being genuine. If you genuinely want to help people and that comes across, I think that's definitely going to make you stand out. Kind of along the lines of the last question about you generate a lot of leads. It's really about the process and the follow-up. I think we talked about that earlier, but if you have a poor process and you don't follow up, then you're not going to do very well. So it's just about being genuine.
Yeah, I think being genuine is a critical piece to that. Don't try and be something that you're not. But also, and Sherman, you touched on this at the very beginning, I think, in the context of understanding what your market is and what does a customer or a prospective customer really look like for you. If you try, and I steal this line all the time from my great friend and IMCP colleague Steve Jones, but if you're trying to be all things to everyone, you're nothing to nobody. Mm-hmm. So understand who your vertical is, whether that vertical is a market segment, whether it's a size of company. Really, that as much as you can establish the demographics of what that prospective customer looks like for you, you're going to be much better off from that standpoint in terms of how you can interact with those people, because you're going to have insights into their business that somebody who's much more generic doesn't have. So if you can speak intelligently to their type of business, whatever that is, I think you're already head and shoulders above your competition.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I first started my business, my most difficult thing was getting a name that made me stand out upon, from all the other magicians in Los Angeles. And most magicians are Black's Magic, White's Magic, Magic of Billy Bob, or whatever. I hope that's not an actual person. And so I chose my business name, Magic and Heels, because it really sets me apart. And it automatically is like, oh, let's click on that. But once we start having a conversation, as you said, I genuinely want to know about people, and I want to know what their goals are. And even if it's just someone's 50th birthday party, your goal is to make that 50th birthday as most memorable as you can. So I'm going to help you accomplish that goal, and I genuinely want to. So if I'm providing the service, which is I'm going to help you generate as many leads as possible, I'm going to work very hard at making sure that you accomplish that goal, because I genuinely want you to.
Great. All right. So let's go into the next one. The Act 3 really is. Let's help us with another magic trick.
Sure. So this is something you can do with a dollar bill and 2 paper clips. The idea of this is, again, it's really fun to customize stuff. So if you're maybe doing a networking event and you say, all right, so 1 paper clip is me, 1 paper clip is you can actually have someone maybe choose their own paper clip, their color. You can make it as fun as you'd like. So this is it's not so much interactive, but the idea is you fold up the dollar bill in sort of like a funky Z formation here, and 1 paper clip goes on one side. And this can sort of represent, right now, you guys, as a business, you haven't necessarily worked together yet. You're still on sort of a distance, but you're still on the same playing field, right? Like a vertical relationship between the two of us. And so the idea of this is that, with networking and with building the relationship, you guys can come together and create a good product. Oh, well, that didn't work at all. That's totally cool. So that's fine. I brought so many more paper clips. So the idea of this is that when you fling the paper clips in the air, they actually link together. My bad, it didn't work. Guys, I'm a really good magician. It's totally fine. There's no pressure here. Cool, let's try this one more time. So paper clip number
There
one.
are 30 million people watching.
Sure.
I'm just
It's a Super Bowl.
Cool. So I'm fired. I'm firing myself in this case. All right, let's try it one more time. There it is. And then the 2 paper clips can link together.
Oh, cool.
Right. Yay, did it. Okay, so let me explain to you. Good thing I know what happened. So here's how you do it. You have 2 paper clips and any sort of paper money. You can actually do this with even a piece of paper. I recommend a stiffer type of paper as well, because that way it won't catch on the paper and rip it. And you can even have, your company name, or it can be in a way your business card or marketing information. So you fold the dollar or the piece of paper in a Z fold. So 1 flap comes over, you fold it in thirds to the front, and 1 comes over and you fold it in thirds to the back. So 1 paper clip, you're basically going to focus on putting the paper clips over the ones or the corners of the piece of paper. And the paper clip is, if we can cut to this camera for a kind of a maybe closer view, is that possible?
We are.
You're the best. So you've got these pockets. So the first paper clip is going to go, I'm just going to put it there so you can see it. It goes over the outside of the one and over the next layer of dollar, but not over the third. So you've sort of got these 3 layers because of that Z fold. So it goes over layer 1 and layer 2, but not the third. And then this is going to be the exact same situation from the other corner. So I'll just put it in so you can see it. So over layer 1, not layer 2, or 1 and 2, not layer 3. Paper clips go, push all the way down. And then you're going to very quickly pull the corners. So I'm going to pull sort of at the tops here near the paper clip. You're going to pull out, and ideally they should link together.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, it worked again. Yay.
All right. Very good. Okay, let's get into the last opinion here, and that's really going to be the opinion is, if you don't digitally transform, tomorrow may not be in your future. That could be kind of incendiary, but I do agree that we need to work on transforming and utilizing the latest, greatest technology concepts and ideas to increase your efficiency and increase the sales and revenue. So let's bring it out to the panelists here. Kayla, why don't we talk about with you, and then maybe possibly bring up your thought with you have a friend in real estate. I think you have a great story with that.
Yeah. So for my personal business, it's all about, getting your name out there, making sure that people in whatever geographical location you'd like to target know who you are. And for me, word of mouth is always the biggest marketing tool. But from that, a lot of people call and will say, listen, I just heard that you were great at this past event, a friend hired you and they said you were great, but I need you to also still prove that to me. And how you do that is by saying, let me direct you over to my website, YouTube videos, anything that sort of shows content, shows that I'm there, I'm present, and that makes you significantly more interesting, and people are willing to hire you from that perspective. So for me, it was really difficult because I did not come from a technology background. It's not really my field of expertise, still isn't, but actually from working with Justin and Microsoft, I've learned so much that now like I said, OneNote has become sort of my life, and I'm, all about Microsoft Office now, and that's just helped me so much to be able to communicate with people, make it so much more efficient. And then, so a buddy of mine is in real estate, and he's very new into real estate, but his goal is to make open houses, unlike any open house you've ever been to make him set apart and really make the house buying experience unique to the individual. So we've come up with a couple of ideas. One, and don't steal these. One is I know we're talking to a lot of real estate agents. One is just to do like a strict magic show at an open house, which is really fun. Kind of like that undisclosed idea of, all right, it's invite only. You only get this invitation if you're on a special list, and we're going to tell you the location 24 hours in advance, and so it's going to be this super cool party. It just happens to be at a house that's for sale. The other thing we talked about is doing an augmented reality open house. So the idea is that you come in, and we actually came up with this idea after the partners briefing, is you come into a home and it's completely blank. There's no furniture, there's nothing in the house, but you, using augmented reality, basically create your own layout of your home. So you add the furniture you want and put it where you want. You add pictures. You can add anything you like. In theory, you might be able to even download like a family photo from your Facebook account and put it up in a frame using augmented reality to be like, yeah, I could see myself living here. Have a dog run by. I really like dogs. So you can do so much with technology and sort of pairing it. And so although, sorry to those who stage homes, but you don't have to pay so much to stage a house anymore. For someone who maybe doesn't like how the house is laid out, you now have the ability to do it however you'd like.
Awesome. Well, Justin, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most important things, is really understanding that digital transformation truly is changing our world. If you look at things like Uber against the taxis, if you look at things like Facebook, they don't have any self-created content. It's all user-created content. And I'm seeing these things all the time. So if you look at doctors' offices, the ones that are innovating are the ones that are staying alive and actually doing bigger and better things. It's really on us as Microsoft and our Microsoft partners to take these digital transformations to our customers and really help them. We've got a big case study that we're working on right now in the automotive industry, where these companies are looking at, hey, I can't be stale anymore. I have to do things a little bit different and use technology to get more people to my events, to be able to sell more cars. We will do these things. It's a really amazing story. I can't wait that that'll be public when you guys will be able to read about it. But these things have to happen. And the truth of the matter is that software is there, but the software is only as good as the implementer. So if you guys can take some solutions to customers, they're fantastic. Kayla's talking about a story with real estate agents and being able to go out and transform what an open house used to be into something that it can be in the future. But it's all about digital transformation and security. There's so many things you guys can do there.
Eric, you talk about, you've got a great, business model and concept, and please help us understand your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think even in the sales and marketing world, we look at the tools that I tell people this is an absolute requirement today. You have to have a customer relationship management system. I don't care how small you are. If you have customers, you need some way to keep track of those people. You need to keep track of the interactions that you're having with those people. Sherman, you touched on it before, the need for nurture marketing, the fact that only 3% of people are ready to buy something today. So, even if we do that event and we get 20 people, 40 people, 100 people to show up, relatively small number of those people are going to be ready to buy something from us right now. But if we can put them into a marketing automation tool, if we can put them into processes that are driven by their interactions with us, then we can drive that number up over time. And instead of 3%, it becomes 10%, it becomes 20%, it becomes something much bigger for every type of campaign that we're driving around that. And then all of that ties into other things that we may be using in the way of tools. I tell people from the standpoint of customer relationship management systems, obviously, it needs to be integrated with whatever their office automation platform is. For most of us, that's going to be the world of Office. So if you're living in the world, as most salespeople do, sitting in their Outlook inbox, managing their calendars from that, you better have a CRM solution that's integrated with that. And of course, who better integrates with that than the Microsoft products? So certainly from that standpoint.
Great. Well, for the sake of time here, we need to just follow up with the last few items. If you haven't registered for the giveaway, please, I went and put that in the Q&A, the aka.ms/PLG-reg. So next is a call to action. This is really important here. We have a new drumbeat series coming up for the partners around the country. So if you have a sales force, if you are running your business and you have one salesperson, two salespersons, five persons that are part of it, and you need to have some formal type of training. Well, Microsoft is doing this around the country. So please utilize the links that are on this PowerPoint, which I have uploaded to our Project Lead Gen board. So you can just download this PowerPoint, go over here and click on it. You can register for them. We are really looking to fill up the San Francisco site. If you haven't, if you're up in that area, please go there. We are limited seating in Utah and in Phoenix, I do believe. So please make sure that you sign up if you're looking for a way to help, learn more about sales. And, I conducted the drum beats last quarter, and we really talked about opportunities, open-ended type of questions, a lot of things that we cover here today, but this is a very formalized training for you, and it's free. It's provided by Microsoft. Lastly, if you would like to get a hold of any one of these speakers today, please feel free, contact Eric Klauss, Kayla Drescher, Justin Slagle, or myself at any one of these email sources here, and we'll be happy to reach out to you. Lastly, in summary, I want to talk about next week. I mean, we learned a lot about today. We learned about ice breaking and talking about different things that are good to do at trade shows and how you differentiate yourself. And I think the main thing is just really taking the information you're getting today and utilize that to increase your sales and marketing, change, work on your craft, whether, any type of business that you have. So we're really happy to help you with these types of things on this call. So next week is really important. We also have the Chief Operating Officer for TuttleClick, which is a auto dealership. They've got about, I think, 16 different auto dealerships throughout California and in Arizona. And he's going to come on, and he's got a great story. George is a good friend of mine, started on the floor, was an actual, car salesperson on the floor, and now is a COO. But we're also bringing in Kevin McMillan from Ryan Tech, who's designing some unbelievable IP about that. And then we're going to round it with another surprise guest. After that, we're going to have venture capitalists the following week. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. For the partner, by the partner, and for America, have a great day. Bye-bye.